The Jacobs Ladder Show, the international internet broadcast online interview talk radio show, exploring ladders of success with Carolyn and Stephen Jacobs. Broadcast live from fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, every Tuesday from 1 to 3 p.m., featuring one guest per hour. Each guest tells us their life story with a one-on-one interview with either Carolyn or Stephen Jacobs. Featured guests include singers, dancers, musicians, entertainers, and entrepreneurs on their ladders of success. Now, here's Carolyn and Stephen Jacobs.
This is Carolyn Jacobs with the Jacobs Ladder Show, where we are live every Tuesday from 1 to 3 p.m. Stephen hosts 1 hour, I host the other. Now, that beautiful Jacobs Ladder Show theme music is a jazz original composition entitled Go With It by jazz composer, arranger, and trumpeter David Perico and his Pop Evolution Orchestra. Thank you, David Perico. Now, Stephen, who do you have today on their Ladder of Success interview?
I have, if not the, but close to, that prettiest, tallest showgirl in Las Vegas with us today, Lora Kelsey. She also is an aerialist. She also is not only a dancer, but she's also, what do they call it, Laura, when you're on stilts?
A stilt walker.
A stilt walker.
Yeah, it's very professional.
Very professional. And then she does some amazing things that we have seen and combines those things. But Laura, welcome to the show. We're so happy that you had time to come by and see us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Not a problem. So as we discussed earlier, we're going to start with where were you born?
Well, I was born right here in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Oh, well, it was in the stars then, right?
I guess so. I traveled a long way to be here.
So, what did your dad do?
Both my parents were professional dancers back in the 80s, where it was all feathers and showgirls and showboys. I mean, they were the originals. They were when Las Vegas was epic, you know?
Yeah, with the Rat Pack years, the
all the good stuff.
The good go-go years with the Stardust and the Dunes and the...
Especially my dad was at the Stardust in multiple shows.
Wow.
Like a Solid Gold and Enter the Night. I mean, a lot of people don't even know those shows, but they were big back in the day, you know. Really, you should be interviewing them. They're a lot more interesting than me.
Well, maybe you can arrange that for us. I'd love to.
I'm sure they'd both be happy to come in.
Well, we're going to work with you on that thing. I'd love to have them on. So, how old were you when growing up, when you thought you would, or when did dancing come into your thing?
I think dancing came in before I was walking. My mom used to teach ballet holding me on her hip, and then she'd put me in a drawer when I fell asleep. And as soon as I was crawling around the feet of the ballerinas who were training there. And as soon as I was walking, I was doing pliés with them. So it's something that I feel like I've always been good at because I've started so young, and I feel comfortable in. That was my safe place, was the dance room. I mean, and we'll get to this, but even in high school, when I felt uncomfortable, I used to run and hide in the dance room because it felt safe to me, you know?
Oh, yeah. Well, that was, that was where you were most of your infant life.
Yeah.
And then you did all of your crawling, walking.
Yeah.
Went through all of those stages.
Right.
All in a dance studio. So that was home, wasn't it?
Right. I spent more time there than at my home.
Right.
So yeah, why not? But I'm so grateful to have, I've always had that safe place.
Right.
You know, I could still always run to a studio.
To this day, it's still open.
I still run.
I guess it started happening right away, but when did your mom really start to teach you to do things? You said you were doing pliés as soon as...
Yeah, as soon as I was walking. I think really by the time I was talking, I was already shooting back attitude at her. You know, it's hard for a mother to teach a whole class and then have her daughter in there, because I was like, wait, but mommy, like, you're not giving me enough attention. So
Right.
I actually couldn't be fully trained by her.
Right.
She had to let me grow up a little bit with other teachers.
Right.
And then once I got older and I learned how to respect my mother in the classroom, then she let me back in.
So But you were actually doing plays before you could talk. Is that what you're telling us?
I'm sure. I mean, there's pictures
It's a
of
fine
me
line
in
there.
point shoes. Yeah, like
Oh.
as soon as I was walking, I was like stealing point shoes from the girls, and my whole foot would just fit in the toe portion of the point shoe. But I was up. I was like, look, I got it. I can do it.
Well, because that's what you were looking at as an infant. This is what you were looking at.
Uh-huh.
Right?
And even I mean, we're all visual learners, but especially me. Give me a piece of paper, I have no idea what's going on, but I'll watch something instantly. Like that makes sense to me.
Okay.
That's how my brain works.
So you got to go to regular school at some time. When did you go to regular school?
I went to a regular elementary, part of junior high. I homeschooled most of junior high and all of high school. And it was, fine, but I definitely wasn't, I wouldn't say popular or comfortable. I didn't get that good of grades. Always throughout the whole day, I would just struggle through the day and just look forward to, I was always on dance team. So that's always what saved my life, especially in high school. Once you're old enough to drive, you're tempted to just drive off. You get to first period and you're like, I think I'd rather just not. But at least I always had the dance team. I'm like, no, I got to wait 4 more hours, I got practice.
So through grade school though, you went through regular classes at grade school, but you also, I assume, took dance classes afterwards.
Oh yeah, every day. Right after school, I would usually have about an hour to get something to eat, and then my mom would take me straight to class, and then I would dance all day, all night.
So what's all night? How late would you practice in the evening?
By the time I was older, classes used to go to 10 p.m.
Oh, really?
So it didn't leave very much time for homework, which,
Right.
And the will to not do homework. Right. That's probably why my grades were struggling.
So did you, in grade school, did you have there was any opportunity to perform?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, and not so much professionally, like I wasn't getting paid, but I went to Fernadaire, which is in town, and they are really good about getting the kids out performing, which is actually the biggest part about our career.
Right.
Is learning to pass the stage fright and to get out there and focus on your performance. So yeah, we did small performances everywhere. We had a big concert every year, and we even did 2 cruise lines. So I performed on the cruise line as a child.
In grade school, how old were you when?
Oh gosh, I want to say around 8 or 9.
Really?
It was my first cruise ship. Like we were young, and people came to see us. I don't even know how she set that up, but Fern is really good about that.
Right.
So
you were actually performing in front of live people at 8 years old, 9 years old?
Oh yeah, sooner than that, yeah. But that's when you realize that that's what you do it for. Rehearsals are fun too because you're just hanging out with your friends. But I think we all do it for the exhilaration that you get from being on stage.
Right.
Yeah, it's a feeling like no other. That's why we're all addicted.
Right. Absolutely. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Why would anybody do drugs when they can go on stage?
It's
right?
way better.
Yeah. So when was the first time that you performed for money? Do you remember that one?
For money, huh?
When was it? When were you first paid, I guess?
It's a really good question. I feel like it was before I was 18. I feel like I had a few paying gigs when I was maybe 16 or 17. And I just remember my mom be like, well, now you're professional because once you got paid to dance, now you're professional. I was like, oh, I'm a professional dancer. I thought it was so cool.
So also in high school now, in grade school, were you on dance teams in grade school?
Oh, yeah.
Now, you're talking about dance teams not only to perform, but I'm talking about, did you do anything with sports, dance teams on sports?
No, I was so heavily in dance. I could barely keep up with all the activities I was already doing, but every teacher, especially in high school, like almost I got a few bribes to be on their sports team. Because I wasn't doing so good in math, and I had this math teacher that did the water polo team, and I think I was at like maybe a high D or a low C. It was not good.
Yeah. Borderline here, right?
It was borderline, like, woo, like, girl, you need some work. And I remember him being like, look, I can make you pass if you join my water polo team. Like a total bribe. Like he just needed like a 6'1", like swimmer to, I don't even know. But I was like, I'm sorry, I'm too busy. I ended up passing math, just to let everybody know.
So, I'm talking about like, you didn't do any of the, like the football where they have all the girls dancing in, those kind of things. You never did those kinds of things.
In high school they had a few times in the big games where they would have dance team perform.
Right. Oh, okay. That's what I meant.
But yeah, like in the middle of the game, not so much on the side.
Right. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about your dance team actually performed like a halftime routine or something.
Yeah,
like that.
they did, and we were at every indoor rally, which was nice because we could do turn sections. I always love that because that floor is really nice to do turns on. But yeah, even my high school, like we were really good about performing all the time, and that was so much fun. It was one of my favorite experiences of my whole dance career was high school dance team because we were good.
Right.
So it was fun. We were all so good.
And I would imagine that your audience was very appreciative of you, right?
Yeah, and the school was so proud of us. If you develop something that no one's ever seen before, the school pride was awesome.
Cool.
They're like, dance team.
Now, did you compete? Did they have?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
We did all the things. But yeah, competing was fun. Sometimes I kind of struggled with it because the competitive nature was a little hard. I'm really sensitive, and I kind of just want to all be friends, and I like to support one another. But it was hard sometimes because competition gets really intense. I'm sure some people have watched Dance Moms, and it kind of gets like that. Sometimes. Okay. I went to a great school, and I'm so grateful for my experience, but I struggled with that more. What I really like is just performing. The competition, it kind of got in the way sometimes.
I understand. I know exactly what you mean.
You view more about trophies, and that's not what it's about. It's about personal growth and support. So, but it's okay. I'm so glad I did it, and that's what pushes you to be a technically great dancer. Because everybody's on your tail, so you got to step it up, or else you're not going to place,
Right.
So it's all good.
So at some point, you moved to California.
I did. I moved to California for high school.
Okay.
1 year in LA, and then my father moved me down. There was a school I really wanted to train at in Orange County, and so my father transferred his job so I could train at this school. And then my mother moved out from Las Vegas to be with us. So, both my parents have just sacrificed everything so I could just get a good training,
Right.
But yeah, I love Orange County. What a beautiful city. And that's where I did a lot of the heavy competing. My school was a heavy competitive.
Well, Newport Beach High School is great high school, and I agree with you about Orange County because Carolyn and I lived in Huntington Beach.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, Huntington is my favorite. Main Street.
Yeah.
We used to go to BJ's on Main Street.
Oh yeah.
My whole dance team.
Oh really?
Get a big pizookie. Oh, it was good times.
The condos that sit on the sand with the blue awnings.
Yes.
That's where we live.
Oh my gosh.
So I know
what
Main
are you
Street
doing
well.
here? Let's go right now.
But the school that your dad wanted, or you wanted to go to, that made everybody move to Orange County, what was that school?
It's called West Coast School of the Arts.
Uh-huh.
Right now it is in Irvine, but at the time it was in Costa Mesa, which, it's very close.
You're talking about crossing the blocks.
Yeah. And I remember seeing them at competitions, and their dancers are just amazing. And because I went there, especially when I went there, it was a bunch of, most dancers there were short Asian women. And they were really strong. They danced really fast. They could turn well. And I'm like this lanky poodle, coming in, can't keep up. My limbs are all over the place. And because I went there and I had to dance with these girls, if you want to get on the team, you have to keep up with these girls. So I'm grateful for that because now I could dance pretty fast, which is hard for, someone
of
who's
dancers.
6'1", or just the length. So it was great for me, and I have a lot of great friends that I still consider friends from that studio because it was all sweat, blood, and tears.
Did you have to audition to get into that school?
You could take classes
Right.
According to your level. They will demote you if you're in a class over your head, but the competition teams, which is where it gets more intense, because they win. They go to competitions to win, and they succeed. That's what you have to audition for every year. Even if they know you, you have to be at the audition.
Wow.
So
So are you doing in your Newport High School? You're going all of this dance, the dance school. When we were talking earlier, you mentioned something about a Russian
oh yes,
teacher.
Yes, my favorite teacher. Yes, that was before. That
Okay.
was when I was younger, before I moved, because that was actually in Vegas.
Right.
And, I'm going to have to only give her thanks because she made me, technically, she was ballet. So I have all my technique from her. But like I said, I'm very sensitive. And having a Russian ballet teacher tear me down mentally and physically made me lose my mind. So I actually, I think I was 12 or 13. I was like, I quit. Just stormed out, tried to walk home from the studio. So I took 2 years off. And then it was good because then when I came back, it was because I realized I really do love dance. It's not something that my parents have forced me to do. It was my decision to go back. Because my parents were like, fine, you can do whatever you want to do, We just thought we'd put you in dance as a child.
Well, the other nice thing about that is that when you left because of all of the problems of being people trying to get you real technical, people trying to be on you all the time, and that all muddled together, and you stepped back from it for a couple of years, and for you to look at it and go, wait, heart, I really like this,
Right.
and to be able to come back, that's a great thing to happen at that young of an age.
Yeah, because I wasn't sure if I really liked dance or not. I didn't know why I was doing it. Was it because I've always done it, and so I'm just following the same daily routine, or do I actually like it? And so it was good to realize, no, I actually like it. It just needs to be the right situation. I can't be in a ballet company, being scrutinized every day. I'm just too sensitive. I
Yeah.
want to have more fun. Dance should be about fun and express yourself. And
Right.
I wasn't being able to. It was too technical. So, and she's made a lot of dancers so good that they go straight to New York to be in ballet companies, and they are great. So she works for a lot of personalities.
Right.
Just not so much for me.
Right.
I cried a lot.
So the other thing is that she also, we were talking earlier, you being 6'1", she taught you a great thing that I think about, when girls are tall, and that is she definitely drummed into you standing up straight, right?
Oh, yeah. I think anyone who's ever taken a ballet class can never slouch again, especially with a Russian teacher. She used to, when we would have our legs up to the side holding it, she used to stand under my leg. And she'd be like, don't drop it. And you're shaking, your leg's up here. You're like, so yeah.
So-
Could you imagine dropping your leg on
Yeah,
a Russian ballet teacher?
No, I don't think.
Ooh,
Ooh.
you would never be allowed in the building again. You hold that leg up for your life.
So you got that school. While you're doing that school, and you're in at Newport Beach High School, escaping to wonderful Huntington Beach from time to time.
Yes, right.
Did you do any performing? Did you do anything that was
In high school, right? Is the
right?
question.
High school.
Yeah, I was with my dance team, so we were performing at rallies and going to some competitions. And then that's also when I was with West Coast. So I was competing in the summer with them.
So that took up most of your time.
All the time. It was really, even sometimes the two teams would battle because I would stay as late as 5 or 6 o'clock at school practicing. And then, some ballet started at 3:30 at West Coast. So it was a struggle. Sometimes it was really hard to balance, but somehow I ended up doing all the things, and I still graduated high school. So that's all I could ask for.
Well, that's terrific. I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to take a little quick break here. And I know you did something else in Orange County that everybody would not know that you particularly did it, but they would know where you did it.
Oh.
Okay, so this is Stephen Jacobs, and I'm here with Lora Kelsey, and we're having a good time, actually. Lora is a fantastic dancer here on the Strip in Las Vegas, and wonderful shows. We'll be right back into... Hi, this is Stephen Jacobs with the Jacobs Ladder Show. We're here every Tuesday from 1 and to 3. Miss Carolyn and I each interview one guest for 1 hour. Carolyn does 1 o'clock to 2. I do 2 to 3, and I'm very fortunate today to have Lora Kelsey sitting across from me. The one question I wanted to ask you before we get going here is you're living in Orange County. You're going to Newport Beach High School, and you're dancing and everything. Did anybody ever grab you and look at you and say, did you ever think about modeling, or did you do any modeling, or did that ever come into the picture when you were in high school?
I actually did some modeling, not in California, but before I had moved from Las Vegas, when I was because I hit 6 foot really early.
Right.
So I was already tall and I was young, so I was super skinny. I was just like a string bean, so I was a perfect model, right? I had no curves,
Right.
Perfect. So I did start modeling when I was 11 or something crazy, because I already looked like an adult. So I did dabble in some, I call it real modeling versus Vegas modeling,
Right.
Yeah,
I understand now what you mean. Did you print work, runway work?
Yeah, I dabbled in a little bit. I remember being in Elle magazine a little bit. I mean,
okay.
not as the main model, but
Sure,
I was
but-
behind her, and I did some little runway shows and some print, and it was great, but it's also something that I didn't really connect with that much,
Right.
because not so much the models in Las Vegas, but the models in LA are rough to get along with. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's extremely competitive.
Right. And I totally support them. And I think if that's your dream, you should do it. But I don't really like what the industry does to models. I don't really support.
Demands.
If that's what you want, that's fine. But I
right,
don't really want to be
right.
in the middle of such a vain career choice.
And very demanding and
yeah, and then
extremely,
for what?
extremely
for
competitive.
A picture?
Right.
I don't know. You just have to want it.
Right.
I work way too hard but that's what I want.
Right.
So I guess, it's all up to the person.
Sure.
But it's fun. That's why I like Vegas modeling. It's always laid back, and they're just hey, look pretty, and pass out a flyer. And you're like, great, I totally do that. I'm really good at walking. I've been practicing my whole life. I just walk. It's great.
Straight and sideways, right?
Oh, yes.
We'll talk about that
I
later.
developed that later. That skill later.
So the one thing that kind of teaser that we told people before we left for the break is so you're in Orange County and you go to work for the Mouse, right?
I did ended up working for the Mouse.
Yeah, we're talking about Disneyland here. So yeah. People who go to work for the Mouse is refers to as the Mouse.
Yeah. Did you ever work for the Mouse?
I did some things with the Mouse. I didn't work for the Mouse, but I supplied the Mouse.
See, I could
with some
feel that.
things.
You were serving me mouse energy right now.
So, what did you do for the Mouse?
Oh, you guys are going to love this. So I started out in a parade called Pixar Play Parade. It was in California Adventure. And I was in the Finding Nemo section, and I was a dancing jellyfish. It was very intense. You guys probably wouldn't understand. But
Had to immerse yourself in the role, correct?
yeah. I used to scare children. I was 6'1". I was in a unitard with tentacles coming off it. It was supposed to be pretty, but I'd go to high five a kid and they'd burst into tears. It was way too much for them, But I did. Eventually, they were the ones who trained me on stilts, and I learned my stilt walking from Disney. So I cannot thank them enough. And they gave me a few evil roles, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got to be evil because the tall people are evil.
Evil.
The short people are sweet.
That's the that's the Munchkins, right? So that's the reasoning behind making a tall 6'1" lady even taller to put her in stilts, right?
I guess. I mean, yeah. Well, actually, Disney had a rule where I guess for men and women, but mostly for women, you had to be a certain height. I forgot what it was, for safety reasons.
Sure.
They didn't want these frail girls up on these heavy stilts. Their stilts are good quality and they're thick, so they're heavy, and the costumes are well done, so they're heavy. So they were trying to prevent injuries. So I was perfect. They were like, we'll throw her on the tallest stilts Disney has ever given a woman.
Right.
Like, I literally broke a record for women at Disneyland. They put me on the tallest stilts. I was the only female to do. I forgot what they were. They were like 6 feet still. It was something ridiculous.
Right.
But they trusted me because they were like, you're gigantic, so we'll make you super gigantic.
Well, and of course, your dancing and your athleticism with the dancing all helped with
Yeah,
that deal, didn't
I
it?
don't know. They really trusted me with the stilts, and it was great. I was finally somebody trusted me,
With something.
I was like, I could totally do this. Just give me the opportunity, and they did. So yeah, I had a great time working there. I mean, what a fun job. It's just as fun as Vegas,
Right.
but you don't get into as much trouble as you do out here.
You mean the opportunities are somewhat limited, right? As
Yeah, like
opposed to-
after we're done with shows, like we might get a drink, but we just like go play in the park.
Right.
Like we go like ride some roller coasters. Like we just don't have the opportunity to
Right,
get
right,
in that much trouble. So it was great.
Yeah.
I got hired when I was 18, right after high school, and that was like the perfect experience for my first professional job because it wasn't a job. It was so much fun,
But you got paid.
We did. We got paid a little bit.
Yeah.
And we worked really hard, but it felt so good to work that hard.
Right.
And I mean, what an audience, like screaming kids, like feels so good, to entertain somebody who
absolutely.
really cares, it's awesome.
Yeah,
So.
back to the old adrenaline rush again, right?
Yeah. And that's just such a pure form of excitement is the children is so heartwarming. I do miss it sometimes out here. We get drunk and tired adults usually. And if you see kids, they're just so excited to see you. You just feel so special.
Well, what's neat about them is they don't have any agenda. They don't have any, they don't have any preconcepts. They're just
Right. They're just amazed.
They're just a clean board. They're a clean slate, a flat, empty palette that you can just
pure energy
yeah.
and love just shooting out from their faces. It's so cute.
And that I would imagine you got to see a lot of ooh-ahs in some children's faces with what you were doing too.
Yeah, especially the stilt walking.
Right.
That was my favorite because, you're just gigantic walking down Main Street of Disneyland covered in sparkles, and the kids are like, ah! It's awesome.
So so that really impresses them, that being on the stilts and everything. And
The children love the stilts.
Yeah.
I've gotten to do one parade out in Vegas, in Tivoli Village, and it was like for children's, like around
Right.
Christmas last year, and I just forgot how excited they are. But yeah, I was just dressed up like a candy cane showgirl. All I did was walk, and these children are like falling over in their seats, It's so cute. I'm just walking. Like adults get so like everyone's seen a stilt walker,
Right, right.
So it doesn't get that impressive after a few years of life, but
So you're Disney.
Mm-hmm.
You're out of high school. And what happens?
So my parade ends. I'm still doing one of the shows there, but I'm thinking it's probably time to leave Disney. It was such a family, my parade. We started it together, and so when it ended, I was like, okay, I think I'm probably done. So I left super great with Disney, and I was teaching a little bit. I actually tried to bartend a little bit. I was a terrible bartender. You would not want me. Ooh, I would just mess up some drinks for you. That's what I would do. And so that's when I turned 21, and I thought it was time to come back to Vegas because you can't even work in Vegas if you're not 21. Everything is around
Sure.
liquor or in a casino. So when I was 21, I auditioned for Jubilee. More as a respect to my parents. Both my parents did Jubilee and my brother. So I was the last piece of the puzzle that hadn't done the show. And, I thought, why not? So I auditioned and I got it. And so I moved out to Vegas. And then there starts the craziness of my life. I've been here ever since. So, but I got a few pictures. My parents were so proud that, I did my mom's line. And then I did the line that my dad wanted me to be in. So they were both happy. And then we called it a day with that show. I was like, man, we're good.
So let's get this straight. So Jubilee, that's been running since I think it's 30 years or something,
It's
right?
over 30 years.
30
it's like
years?
33 to 34.
And these costumes are beautiful design, Mackey costumes.
Bob Mackie costume.
Mackie costumes. If you've been to Vegas and you haven't taken time to see Jubilee, the costuming is incredible. The staging is incredible. The number of cast members is incredible.
Right.
And you guys do some pretty fast costume changes.
I didn't realize it at the time because it was my first Vegas show. But yeah, there were more numbers in that show than any show I've ever done. We're just numbers out. And then you're running flights of stairs in between numbers. It was just crazy. 2 shows a night. Each show was like over an hour and a half. It was a lot of thigh work.
So no thigh masters needed, huh?
No. Yeah, these women, every single showgirl is backstage on those foam rollers trying to roll out their IT bands because they get so tight from running up the stairs that they'll actually snap. Crazy. Just to and then, we're running backstage, and then once you're on stage, you're just posed, Oh
yeah, nothing's wrong. Everything's beautiful.
And so the people who come see the show are like, the show's nothing. It's not hard. You're not working. But really, the work is backstage, and people don't realize how heavy, because they're made beautifully and professionally, how heavy they are. These are made from real metal, the hats, and it's crazy. So it just takes a lot of muscle just to stand there in these costumes.
Well, that, and from the place, some of the some of the places from the dressing rooms to come up to the stage is, I can't remember what the count is, 30, 40 steps coming up.
It's a lot.
Right?
The average showgirl runs 2,000 stairs a night in one night of work, and that's in between dance numbers.
In heels.
In heels.
And heavy costumes.
The very heaviest ones, like the ones in finale, you either take a elevator up or you put them on upstairs so you don't have to walk the stairs. Which thank goodness for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, all the other costumes, you're running. Those headpieces, you got to go up the stairs in that. Put it on. Stop complaining.
Right. And you have a favorite one, right?
A favorite show? A favorite
costume.
That's a good question.
Let me see what we found here. Is, I think, your favorite costume in Jubilee? What was it?
Probably Samson or Finale, right?
Bluebell. My
Bluebell.
favorite Bluebell number.
Oh, my favorite number,
was Bluebell.
which actually is my favorite dance number to dance. It was called Notch, and it was in Samson and Delilah, and the Bluebells did it. We had this big skirt, and we do a lot of paddle turns. I love the music, but I heard that they cut that part.
Oh,
It's not in there anymore.
Wow.
So I was like the last few people to get to do it. Thank goodness, because I paddled for my life. I lived it.
So you were at Jubilee for how long?
I guess it would be a little over a year. I did 6 months in the Bluebell line and then 6 months in the Tall Nude line.
So tell me, and were you and Ryan ever at the show at the same time?
No.
Okay.
It's too bad, right?
Well,
I
no,
wish.
Because Ryan, your brother, was also in that. And you have another brother, too.
No,
Chet.
Chet's my father.
Oh, okay, Chet.
But a lot of people get that. He looks really young.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, okay. So your dad did it, your mom did it, and you got to perform in the same numbers and lines that your mother did.
Yep. And then, my dad always thought the tall nudes were,
The deal.
I mean, and they kind of are. They get to wear the best costumes, and they're always in the front. And, they do less dance numbers, but that's because their costumes are so ridiculously beautiful. And so they're the people who your eye catches on stage because of costumes. So that's what my dad always wanted for me. So, yeah, I kind of split up the time.
And is that where you learned to walk sideways?
Oh, yes. That's why I became a professional sideways walker. I used to say that's what I used to do for a living. What show are you in? It doesn't matter. I just walk sideways for a living. What do you do for a living? It was amazing. It was a great conversation starter.
Okay, so we're done with Jubilee. What do we do now?
So I actually got a show called Bite. It was a vampire show that used to be at the Stratosphere.
Yeah.
And it was a bunch of not super short, but I would say average height to short, like 5'1" to 5'6".
Mm-hmm.
The choreography was really intense, thrashy. So why would you throw a tall girl in there? Like, we'll break something, right? So,
or somebody.
yeah, and I'll get to that later. I did break my line captain. So I would audition for it just because it was my favorite show on the Strip at the time, and I loved the choreography so much that I would go to the audition to learn the choreography and take it as a dance class. That's how crazy I was. And so, they would get to know, and I remember, so every time, I go to the audition, I just remembered the choreography. So I never got it at the Stratosphere because I'm 6'1" and everyone else is 5'1". Totally fair. I get it. The Stratosphere and the show Bite had split, and for a very short amount of time, the show went to the Plaza, which is downtown on Fremont Street, and that beautiful little plaza. I love that little theater. And Tim Molyneux, which was the director-producer, he called me and asked me to come. So once, Stratosphere, I think Stratosphere was like, no, Tim Molyneux, you need to, where are you going to put this girl? I think they had equal choice in who was casted. But then, when Tim Molyneux just had the reins to himself, he called me in. So bless his heart, it was like Make-A-Wish Foundation. He just let this tall girl come in and live her dream. So I got the show only ran for 2 months, I think. It was a really short amount of time, but to be able to do that show was one of my favorite memories. I mean, I love the show. I got to be in it. I was like a little kid on Christmas, but definitely opening number, first show I ever did, I slammed my fist into my line captain. She was so sweet, and we actually grew up dancing together, and I mean, I think she blacked out for a little bit on stage. She was out, she was laying on the stage. I was like, whoops, I'm sorry, I don't fit on the stage. My arms are just going everywhere, know?
And opening night for you, right? I mean,
opening night for opening number, opening show for me.
Did anything dance through your head oops, maybe this is going to be a short engagement?
I just felt so bad for her because I loved her so much, and she was so good to me, teaching me, when there was so much happening. And that's how I repay her. I think I bought her some whiskey, though. I was like, that's the least I could do.
We're going to continue with your career as you went into other places in Las Vegas and did some marvelous stuff. But right now we have to take a quick little break here. This is Stephen Jacobs with the Jacobs Ladder Show. We're here every Tuesday from 1 to 3. And this show, along with all of our shows, are archived at JacobsLadderShow.com. Just go there and page down the bottom, and you'll see this interview. It'll be up in a couple of days, and all of our interviews are there. We'll be right back Welcome back to the Jacobs Ladder Show. This is Stephen Jacobs with the very fascinating and informative Lora Kelsey. So you did Bite.
Yes.
Right? And you did survive the first night, even though the dance captain
did not.
But you did the right thing. You went out and bought her a whiskey. So, and so during that time, did you you got back on the stilts at what time coming back into Vegas?
I believe it was after Bite, because when Bite closed, I didn't have a job, and so I purchased my own pair of stilts, and I got a job working at a restaurant called She. And they had a bunch of entertainers down there, and they needed a stilt walker. So I was like, well, I'm sure I could just throw these stilts together And then that's what started it all. That's what.
So now you're considered one of the best stilt walkers in Las Vegas, and there's a lot of times that during the year that some of the casinos want to have you in whatever appropriate outfit in their casinos, correct?
Oh yeah. The stilt gigs are nice out
Yeah,
here.
Yeah. I mean, you're actually walking around in the casinos, not on the stage necessarily, but out right in the main lobbies of the casinos.
And I mean,
stuff.
right now I'm currently walking stilts like at Marquee nightclub, like through the dance floor.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and people will push you. You'll slip on drinks. It's not for the weak-hearted.
It's not for the timid,
sure.
right?
No, and a lot of people are so drunk, and it's so there's so many lights that they don't even notice that you're on. They just see like they're just elbowing people.
And they don't see
And
you.
yeah, they'll elbow your stilts. They don't even realize that you're like. It takes them a minute to look up, and be like, "Whoa, I didn't even see you there." People are in
Right.
the zone. But yeah, nothing to complain about.
So you went, and did you start doing some more modeling when you got back to Vegas?
I did, but I did the Vegas modeling, the easy, or I find it easy. The agents are always nice. The girls are
Right.
super nice. It's just a bunch of beautiful girls that just want to get paid for being pretty.
Right. Have you done any of the convention work and so forth here?
I have a little bit. I have a hard time at conventions, unless it's over a product I really love. But it kind of reminds me of math. Like I'm in a convention hall from 9 to 5. It
Right.
just doesn't really. My brain doesn't do well in those environments.
On those hours, right?
I tried, but stuff like magic, the like fashion convention,
Right,
that's
right,
fun.
right.
There are some fun ones that I'll do.
Right.
I'm open.
The next show that you did was Zombie, right?
Yeah, zombie burlesque. Yeah, I went from being a vampire to a zombie.
Always nice to step up, right?
Yeah, which is great. I'm such a horror movie fan, and I love Halloween. I have a big Halloween tattoo, so I'm so into it. I don't think they could have casted it from a more passionate perspective,
Right.
So yeah, I did Zombie. I got to open it, be a part of the creation, which was amazing. To work with Tiger Martina is, I think, every dancer's dream out here. So, and I had 2-year great run. I met some of my best friends there. I mean, it was an experience that nothing can ever replace, and it actually was such a good experience that I feel so fulfilled in my show career that's why I left to work on my own act, because I'm actually so fulfilled that I don't feel like I need to be in another show as a cast
member.
ever again, because I finally got what I wanted,
Well, there is a show that's in town and when it plays it doesn't play regularly, and I'm not sure why no one has really picked it up. But you get to show up in this wonderful thing in town that Ann Martinez has put together, and that's called the BBR Alice steampunk rock, something like
Opera
that.
fantasy.
Or something.
It's all the things.
It's all those things put together. But everybody knows it around here as BBR Alice, and it's singing and dancing. And it's a really unique show based on Alice in Wonderland, but it's all twisted around into songs that you would identify with, some cover songs you identify with. But one of the things that she put in there was this: nobody knew who it was, but the Red Queen would show up. And you've been the Red Queen more than one time. I remember when you were the Red Queen. I can't remember which show it was, but
Yeah, I just did my 4th time.
the 4th time. So I'm off one, because you did the Red Queen the first time, and which
At Tuscany, way
Tuscany.
back at Tuscany, and then we did everyone who had been
all
at
the
the
red,
Tuscany.
the 4 Red Queens.
The 4 of us, and then I did me and Curtis at Vinyl at Hard Rock
Okay.
as the dolls, and then the latest one, which is my act, the stilts on pole kind of spider act.
And absolutely brought the house down with that deal.
Thank you.
It was, I mean, a lot of people in the audience really like to go see Alice more than once. And this particular time at the Hard Rock was the first time that I even told Alice and Johnny, I said, this is the first time you guys have been on this big of a stage. I can hardly wait to see what you guys can do with room.
And they did all the things, right? They filled that stage
Oh, they
from the
used
sky to the ground.
Every inch of it.
And there's even more to come.
But anyway, every time you go to it, there's even more going on, and she changes the show as well. And when she's got room, she must have all these ideas in the back of her head.
Oh, yeah, you should hear the ideas. She's got endless ideas. That girl is a genius mastermind.
But all of a sudden, at this particular one, that was the first one at the Hard Rock last month, and all of a sudden the Red Queen comes out, and most people who have been to this are all waiting for the normal human-sized Red Queen, I guess is the way. And all of a sudden, you appear on stilts. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I know Anne asked me to be the more permanent Red Queen. They're not going to switch every time anymore, for the most part. And she knew that she wanted me on stilts. And I had just come up with this idea that I want to make this, my own act where, I can go wherever from it. And so I came back with a counter offer as, hey, look at what I'm training. I just started training on pole with the stilts. And she was like, I love it. Blah, we're going to do it. And so, but then I was like, ooh, I have to train. I wasn't really ready.
You got what you asked for.
Yeah, right. Which was the best thing that could have happened to me, because then I had to go psycho training. I only had about 2 months to pull it together. So, and to get out and perform it was amazing. And so, but now I'm back in training because there's still a lot I want to do with it. And our next performance is January 12th back at Brooklyn Bowl. And I promise you there will be more elements, a lot more, even more aerial.
And this is BBR Alice, right?
Yep.
And the date again?
January 12th at Brooklyn Bowl.
January the 12th. Now, so people understand what this is, because it's hard to get your mind around until you actually see it. But you are the only one I've ever known that on stilts does an entire pole act, and how you are able to twist your body in the ways that you do it and make those stilts look like they actually are part of your body is incredible.
Well, thank you. It's taken a lot of training, and a lot of people have helped me, and I couldn't have done it without them.
But you really know that you brought the house down that night, right?
Thank you. I've never been more nervous in my whole life, because it's uncharted territory. And so my goal was just to get through it. I know it sounds bad, but just to not fall, not to hurt anybody, and not necessarily mess up big. And I did it, so it's great.
You were great.
But now it's time to be hard on myself and to push myself farther and to get more tricks and to be the monster that I really want to be.
Well, I think you've come up with some really unique combination here, and other people might try to look at it and do it, but I don't think they understand what's involved with it. So from here, where do you go after BBR? What else have you got planned?
Well, now it's I've always wanted to do this stilt act. I never knew how I wanted to do it until now. Now I realize it's the pole stilt act. I meant to make it more corporate. It turned out, no, it's kind of edgy. That's okay. So I'm open to working in town. I'm open to traveling around the world. I feel like Europe would be open to this act. I'm just going to see where life takes me.
I think it's terrific. How if somebody wants to get a hold of you, somebody's listening here in town or in Europe or wherever, because we are in 55 countries, how would they get a hold of you?
Well, I guess my email is just my name,
Right.
Lora Kelsey at gmail.com.
Right.
You could always email me, my Facebook. It's all simple. It's all just Lora
Right.
Kelsey.
Lora
Instagram, Lora Kelsey.
And if they go on your Facebook, your email is also on your Facebook.
Yeah,
So-
I don't like to have screen names. So I'm sure
Right.
if you just look up my name,
And,
you'll be
and not
able
only
to find
that,
me.
if you go to your Facebook and look through there a little bit, you've got some videos on there of you doing some of your pole work. With the stilts.
Training stuff. Yeah, Facebook is kind of more for friends and family.
Sure.
My Instagram, anyone can follow me, but I do put sometimes what I'm working on. Sometimes my videos aren't that good, so I don't try to post all of them.
And it's Lora, LoraKelsey, Lora Kelsey on Facebook, Lora Kelsey at Gmail, if you want to get a hold of her and do some things. Lora, I can't tell you how much I enjoy you having taken the time to come in and spend this time with us. You have a great story.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
And I will tell you that I really admire the fact that you've taken these elements and put all these elements together and are developing your own thing and your own act. I'm sure that's going to be picked up. I'm sure you're going to be talked about in a lot of places around the world. So good luck with all that. Thanks for coming. Tell me something. When you get really famous, will you come back and do another show with me?
Of course.
Thank you so much. This is Stephen Jacobs with the Jacobs Ladder Show. We're here every Tuesday from 1 until 3, one guest for 1 hour. And you can find this show, along with all of our shows, on the archives, JacobsLadderShow.com. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.